Hello and welcome to episode 67 of Mouse's Makes. Oh my gosh, I nearly said my yarny corner then. What is wrong with me? It's because I was just looking at a comment that Alex had left. So my yarny corner was in my brain. It's not going well already, is it? Poppy's having a wash. Can you stop that, please? We've got visitors. Thank you. Let's start again. Welcome to episode 67 of Mouse's Makes. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse, and this is Poppy, who apparently feels a burning need to wash herself this morning. Right, let's try and stay on track, although I'm warning you now, it's not looking like this is going to be a good thing today. Okay, professional podcaster persona. Today, if you're watching this on Wednesday the 31st of August, which is the day that it is published, is your last chance to enter the Knitting with Ukraine make-along. I'm not going to go into all the details because you have heard them every week for the last 4 months. So you just don't need to know today. If you've not joined in already, it's too late really, isn't it? So let's not worry about that. Entries finish at midnight British summertime today, 31st of August. It's Wednesday. I've decided to do something a little differently this time with the prize draw because there are a lot of prizes. And I thought rather than have everyone sit through 15-20 minutes of draw next podcast, I'm going to go live on Saturday. I've written this down so I don't forget. Live on Saturday at 3 o'clock British summertime in the afternoon to do the draw. I think I've not been live before, so I'm going to check with some people who've done it. I think it automatically records it and so you can watch it afterwards. If it doesn't, I will notify the people who've won myself. If you get an email, a message through Instagram or anything pretending to be me and asking for anything other than your address, please ignore it. It's not me. I will only contact you to ask for your mailing address and let you know which prize you've won. I'll probably contact you on your, I was going to say on your comment, I can't do that. I'll comment on your Instagram post if I don't hear from you within a couple of days and let you know. Yeah, just be sure it's me before you send anything, and don't send anything other than your postal address. I've worried myself about this because there's been a thing going on this weekend with Leif Family Yarns. They were sort of trying to increase their reach, and there have been a couple of fake accounts set up trying to get stuff from people pretending to be them. So that's what's given me a bit of a worry about it. But I'm sure I'm too small for people to pay any attention to, so we'll see. Right, the other thing I have to say, the 1000 subscribers giveaway, which is going to be a pattern prize. If you would like to enter that and you haven't done so already, can you comment on last week's episode, which is episode 66, and make sure you have 1k in your comment? Because when I do the draw, which will be next Wednesday for that, I'm going to use Comment Picker. So make sure it's on last week's, not this week's. I think that's everything admin-y. I've had a bit of an interesting week, but I have finished something. And I have to tell you, I can't tell you how pleased I am to have finished this something. I finished Ewan's gloves. if you've been around, you will know that Ewan's involved in reenactment and he needed a pair of period accurate knitted gloves. So here they are. They are beige, which hurts my soul a little bit, but it was for a purpose. So these were knit from a period specific pattern. I put all the pieces of paper together so that I wouldn't get into a mess and then promptly get into a mess. They're called the Modified Army Gloves, World War II Army Gloves, and it's from an original pattern issued by the American Red Cross in January 1942. So that fit in perfectly with them being period accurate. The yarn I used was a combination of, because it's a worsted pattern, and the pattern I'd originally going to be used, which turned out to be 1950s and not really period accurate, although I mean a glove's a glove, but I felt the need to be as involved as he is in getting things period specific. So I bought some fingering weight yarn and then changed patterns and needed worsted. Excuse me. So originally I bought this, which is West Yorkshire Spinner. No, it's not. I told you this was going to be chaos, didn't I? This is Cascade Heritage in 5610, which is camel. Sorry, forgot where the lens was. I should go to bed and go back to bed and start again, really, shouldn't I? And I held it together with Woolcraft Superwash Sock in 4432. And together, where's the other ball? They blended together almost perfectly. I don't know how well that's coming out on the screen, but yeah, together you can't tell it's two yarns marled. So I'm pretty pleased with them, and I think he is too. I had originally, I changed the needle sizes and everything. The pattern uses very small needles, 2.5 for the rib and then 3mm for the, is it 3mm? Stop saying 3mm, Mandy. Yeah, 3mm for the body of the glove. And I started knitting that up and it was far too small. So I changed to 3.25 for the body of the glove, and I think 3mm, was it 3.75? I think I was 3.75 and 3.25 for the rib. I should have written it down, shouldn't I? I might have done in my Ravelry notes. Chaos reigns. So they are finished, and I had been going to, this is where I was when I started all of this about sizes. I had been going to finish the first pair for myself, but be quite honest with you, I cannot knit another finger for a very long time, so I'm not going to be finishing those gloves for me. You can have those now that you have seen them. I'll just take a picture and put it on Ravelry, and then I can forget the whole nasty experience. To be fair, it wasn't a particularly nasty experience. I don't do fiddly. I've mentioned this several times before, and the fingers were fiddly, and I had to use very short, well, normal size DPNs, and they scraped my hands, and it was uncomfortable, and it was fiddly, and I didn't enjoy the process at all. So that's enough said about that. What I did enjoy though was Friday morning I met up with Amanda from Little Likac Yarns. She has a podcast, I'm sure you've seen it, if not it will be linked below, She lives quite a long way away from me, but she was down my way for the weekend, and so we agreed to meet up. And we met up and we knitted and we chatted and we had lunch and we knitted and we chatted some more. But before we did any of that, we went into a yarn shop. I'm going to show you what I bought there shortly. But before then, I want to show you what she gave me. We swapped gifts. I'd made her a project bag, which is one of the things I was talking about last week but couldn't show you because I was afraid she'd see it before I gave it to her. But anyway, I made her a project bag and a little notions pouch, and I made some progress clippers and stitch markers and what have you, because that's where my skill set lies. Her skill set lies in dyeing yarn. So she brought 2 skeins of yarn, one for me and one as a prize for the make along. This one is mine. I don't know how well the colour's coming out. I think it's looking a little dull. It's some very pretty subtle pinks. Whoop, over there. Oh, that's a bit better. Yeah, pinks and lavenders, and there's a bit of a peachy colour in there. There's even a little hint of sage green. This is going into another tee, either a rocket tee, which is what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a rocket tee. I'm supposed to have started with that, really, aren't I? This rocket tee that I am wearing also contains yarn from Amanda. This solid green stripe is Amanda's yarn, and I think it was called Mojito, I believe. Anyway, so this will either go into another one of these or another project that I have in the planning stages that may or may not work. But this one is for you guys. This is to go into the Knitting with Ukraine mail. And is that, yeah, that's kind of, I think it blows out a bit towards the window, but over here that's more true to colour. So it's a lovely russety red with purple speckles. It's 75-25 superwash merino and nylon, and it's called Northern Cardinal. So this one's going into the prize draw. But this one, I should have told you what it was called. Same base, and it is called Boutique. Yes, very, very happy with this. Thank you very much, Amanda. I also scored another skein of yarn last week. We don't know what it is though. Another friend of mine, who you may know as Kitty Scrapper, who has another YouTube channel, sent me some t-shirts and this skein of yarn. And I mean, it's not at all my colours, as you can see. So this, I think, I don't know. It was going to be socks, then it was going to be gloves. It's going to be something, and it's going to be something very soon. The only reason it's not caked up is that I did quite a lot of caking up and I was beginning to lose the will to live. So this one didn't quite make it to the caking up stage. It's very, very soft, whatever it is. And I will be knitting this up in the next couple of weeks, because today is the today is the last day of August, which means tomorrow is the first day of September. I know, my skills at working out dates just know no bounds. So starting tomorrow, and you may have seen me announce this on Instagram, I'm starting another make along, but this time it's a whatever you like make along. The only rule is it's got to be an autumn link, so the colour, the name, but it's pretty loose. If you can persuade me, as Nancy, otherwise known as Kitty Scrapper, has done, that the sweater that she's going to be knitting, which has UFOs, aliens and cows on is an autumn sweater. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I'm now utterly convinced that that counts. You can enter it. Okay, the rules are pretty loose. It will run from the 1st of September, tomorrow, to the 31st of October. There will be prizes. There will be a Ravelry thread. I nearly said Fred then. I need to slow down. There will be a Ravelry thread on the Mousewitch page, which I will link below. There will also be an Instagram hashtag, which I'm hoping I'm putting on the screen at this precise moment. Maybe. I'm learning how to do all these things. They don't always go quite as I plan. The hashtag will also be below, just in case I don't manage to get it on the screen. Or, as has happened in the past, I put it on the screen incorrectly. I shouldn't be left alone, really. I should have some kind of, like, minder. So this is going to be a something for my autumn cowl. Just to confuse things, the hashtag is going to be October Mal, because there were so many autumn things I didn't want it to get lost. I feel like I'm giving you extraneous information now that you don't really need, so I'm going to shut up. But the greens and the purples make me think of Alphabet and Wicked and Halloween and witches. So this is most definitely going to be a something which I'm going to knit during my, I'm going to call it the October Mal, even though it starts in September. I was going to say to avoid confusion, but will it add to the confusion? I don't know, because I've managed to confuse myself now. But anyway, if you've been around for a while, you will know that autumn is my favourite season. I love the colours. I love the weather. I love the fact that Halloween is in it. I love the fact that my birthday is in it. There's not much about autumn I don't like, apart from the fact that the children used to go back to school. But now they're grown men, they don't go back to school. So there's nothing to dislike about autumn. That has given me the excuse. I'm ashamed. I do actually feel a little bit ashamed to cast on a handful of new things. I was really bored with everything that I'm knitting. I think the gloves were the final straw, if I'm honest. And so I went a bit wild. And I've cast on some things. I'm going to show you this first. But I don't think this is going to make the cut, and I'll explain why. I've cast on this sweater. I don't know what it's called, and I don't know where I got it. I've had the pattern for a very long time. I've had the pattern so long that I didn't knit it because I'd never knit a top-down sweater before. And it's mostly top-down. Although you start with the cabled band and then you work up and down. But I'd only ever knit garments in pieces before, so I wasn't too sure. I haven't got a title page. I've just got page 1 of 5. Well, and the other 4, obviously. It's knit in alpaca heather, which I don't have. It's DK pattern. And the only clue to what it is VLS 004. There's no sign on it of a company, a brand name or anything. The only thing that I can try and identify it by is that the cable across the front, the chart at the back says Sandhurst cable strip chart. Now I've googled Sandhurst cabled jumper, Sandhurst cabled sweater, Sandhurst cables, And all that I come up with is a man's cabled sweater, which isn't at all constructed like this. It's, you know, your standard pieced up and down cabled sweater. So I haven't got a clue. That's not why I'm gonna scratch knitting it. I've done this much. And as you can see, it's very small. If you think about that going around me, that looks considerably smaller. I mean, obviously this might be a smaller size, but if you look on there and you look on me, that seems to take up a lot less of me than the cable band does on the model. Admittedly, there may be more of me than the model. Quite likely it is, to be fair. But yeah, I think my yarn is maybe a little bit too thin. So I've done this much. No, that's the wrong side. I've done this much. And I don't think I'm going to go any further. The yarn I'm using was a gift from Dave for Mother's Day. And it's Crafty Things double knit yarn from Home Bargains. I don't think I've got the camera around the other way today, but I seem to keep going over here when I should be going over there. Just the kind of day it is. And it's a lovely autumnal colour. But I don't think it's for this sweater. So I'm going to pull this out, and when you see me next week, I will have cast something else on with this. I've got something in mind, but I know you need to be sitting down when I announce this. I'm going to have to swatch. I know. Who am I? You might be convinced that I've been replaced by an alien if it weren't for the fact that everything else is as much chaos as it normally is. Yes, I am going to swatch because it's quite fine DK, and I want to know whether what I'm going to make, whether I'm going to go for another DK pattern or whether I might push it to a fingering weight pattern. It's quite, maybe it's sport. I could look for a sport pattern. This is not something that I need to decide now when I'm on your time, not mine. So that's the first thing that is not going to be continued with. I'm going to knit the pattern again, but I'm probably going to knit it in something a bit more substantial. Apart from that, I have cast on some other things. This little pair of mitts has been in my favourites list since about this time last year. It's the Outfoxed Mitts by Erica Heuser, I'm not sure. If you've been around a little while, you may remember that for Christmas last year I knit my daughter-in-law some elephant mitts. It's called the Peaceable Mitts, by this designer. And whilst I complained and groaned and moaned my way through them, it did open the door to colour work again. It's been many years since I'd done colour work, and it's taken me a few months really to get back into my stride and remember all the things, and I hold one yarn in one hand and one in the other, and that was fine. I remembered how to do that, and then I'd come across a bit that required 3 colours, and only yesterday I remembered how to do that. So the old cogs are turning, but they could do with a bit of WD-40, I think. For overseas viewers, that's kind of a spray-on oil that you stick on things that are rusty. Don't know if it's available in other countries, but there's probably an equivalent. So yes, I cast these on. I didn't cast them on with the yarn that I bought to cast them on though. I don't know, that seems grammatically a bit peculiar. I've cast them on with some leftover Drops Alpaca in 2925, which is, oh, I'm so glad I've discovered moving things over here. It's not quite that dark, it's more that colour, which is very foxy. And also, I don't know if you can see, a little bit fluffy like a fox. And I'm using it with, I'm going to show you this thing in a minute as well, with this, which is a little bit beige, but together they look really nice. A bit frightened of the B word at the moment. And that's Cascade Heritage in 5758, which is macadamia. It's beige, but I'm calling it dark cream because I'm traumatized by beige. And oh, I discovered that I've only got one of these. I've got this here thing, which is meant to go on your foot if you're wearing dolly shoes, but it's just like a perfect little stocking square that I've put this in. I've been yearning for some yarn cozies for a while, and I could sew myself some if it weren't for the fact that I have a fear of knitting jersey. Oh, I've made a bit of a mess of that now. I'm going to leave it alone. Shouldn't have taken it out of the cosy, should I? So I cast that on. I haven't done very much. I'm wrestling it out. Ooh. I've done all of this. I know. I've done the ribbing and one row, and you will notice that I have it on one of these torture devices. I saw Ellie from Craft House Magic, it must have been last year, she was knitting some mitts. Might have been by this same designer actually, now I come to think of it. I think it was the ones that have got like a dandelion on. Anyway, she recommended using the higher flyers, which are similar to Addy Flexi Flips. They're an end with a bit in the middle, and let me show you. I've got them in the bag because I did try them. These. And then what you can do is when you're knitting on one side, you can bend the other and you don't get... I didn't get a ladder at the ends when I did Lauren's gloves, but I did pull the stitches too tight in some places to avoid getting a ladder. And with these, apparently you don't get it. I tried them. They were like DPNs. They irritated my hands. They irritated my everything. And I couldn't get on with them. So I fished this out as an alternative because obviously you're going round in a circle. There shouldn't be a ladder or a tight place in theory. Although there is still potential for there to be on one side, isn't there? I'm just going to move my stitch marker, progress keeper, while I'm talking to you, so I don't forget, as I usually do. I've put on, because obviously it's for my Foxy Mitts, a little purple fox. I don't know if you can see him. Little foxy. And because it's a Halloween knit along, well, it's an October, it's an autumn, I don't know, but it's an autumnal colour. Foxes aren't particularly autumnal, are they? They're all year round, but it's an autumnal colour. That one is definitely staying because I love it very much. Put that back in there. I've also, because my sock mojo has returned, cast on a pair of socks. I know, you're shocked. This is a free pattern, and they're called the Little Hocus Pocus socks, and they're by, I know they're by somebody. It's got to be written on here somewhere, hasn't it? I don't think it is. It's not. How peculiar. I'll have to have a look and I'll put it on the screen. It doesn't say anywhere. What I love about it though, I don't know how I can do this without showing you too much. You see the little, no, I can't, hang on. The little witch's hat. And there is a owl and a witch's cat. Small things please small minds, apparently. So these are cabled socks. There's a cable up the outside of each sock, so they are, you know, left and right. I'm knitting them in. This time it is actually West Yorkshire Spinners in turmeric, which at some point I've divided into 2 balls, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's 2 50-gram balls. I have no recollection of having done it or why. So there you go. I'm sure it was very important, whatever it was. Again, it's a lovely autumny colour. I'm trying to untangle it while I distract you by talking to you about clever things. Not really. I've not done very much, but you can see there is a little bit of cable just starting to emerge. I'm not going to, the pattern has the toe and heel in a different colour. I'm not going to do that. It's something that I usually do on socks, but I don't want to, I just love the colour and I don't want to dilute it with anything else. So this is a double whammy because it's a lovely autumnal gold, but it's also Hocus Pocus. And I think we all know the Hocus Pocus film. They are definitely staying. I'm trying to work out how many things I've cast on. I've actually cast on 4. 1, 2, 5. 5, but 2 of them, one of them you've already seen. The second one is this. These are totally cabled mitts by Linda Lehman, Lehman. I want these mitts so badly, but I'm not afraid to tell you that not only am I very intimidated by this pattern, I think it might be beyond me. And I'm not being big-headed when I say not many things are. I've been knitting for half a century, more than half a century. I've tried most things. I've even tried brioche now. I know, how brave am I? Sorry, the cushions rolled all my jumper up at the back. But this pattern, I'm really struggling. There's about 10 pages of it, and only 1.5 pages are actual written instructions of what to do. The rest are all abbreviations that I've not come across before and charts to go with the abbreviations, but there's not necessarily an instruction for how to do the thing that's on the chart. In all fairness, I looked at it last night. I cast on and I looked at it last night and I was tired and it was the wrong time of day to be doing it. And I'm wondering what I've done with the ball band from, there it is, from this yarn. This is the yarn that I bought with the intention of making the Foxy Mitts on my date with Amanda. Here it is. It is just gorgeous, and you're not getting the full benefit of it because the light is funky as usual. It's beautiful, russety reds and oranges and golds and peaches. It's gorgeous. It's very lovely. It's high twist, and it's 5 spates, vivacious 4-ply in 622 peach Bellini. And it's 100% superwash merino, so I'm not going to be making socks with it, even if I was that way inclined. I've done the rib. Pretty much that was as far as my knitting skills took me. Oh, rolled away. Oops. Right, this is the rib. I don't know if you can see how, no. I don't know if you can see how pretty it is. If I show you the rib. It's just really, really pretty yarn. And those gloves would look lovely in it. And I really, really want the gloves, but I just don't know if I can manage it. I'm going to have another look at the pattern while all this is uploading, and I'm going to see if I can make head or tail of it. I looked on Ravelry on other people's notes, and some people have changed it slightly. Someone else wrote the pattern out, so completely wrote it out step by step. That might be what I can do, but I've got to track down these stitches that I've never heard of before and have no idea how to do. Although it's entirely possible that I do know them but by another name. There's another pattern. It was the first one I showed you, whereas I'm used to cable front and cable back. This is cable right and cable left. It means exactly the same thing, it's just worded differently. So it's entirely possible that some of what's in here is the same, but as it stands, I can't manage it. And I'm not afraid to say that to you, because everybody's at different levels of knitting, you know. Even if you've been knitting for a very, very long time, you might have always knit exactly the same thing. And so maybe you've never done lace. So someone presents you with a lace pattern. You're actually perfectly capable of knitting it, but because it's new and the instructions are strange, you don't do it because it's a bit scary. I don't want to not do this because it's a bit scary. I'm a bit stubborn and I don't like to let things beat me. Plus, I really, really want the gloves. I did actually last night go onto Ravelry and see if I could find a different pattern. And all the patterns I liked were by this designer. So I think that's the fates telling me, just stop being a wuss, work it out and knit the gloves you want. Because I'm going to come across, if I choose a different pattern by her, I'm going to come across the same thing, I'm sure. So hopefully you'll see some work on that next week. But I am prepared for the fact that I might not be able to sort it out. This honestly, it's fine. I just knocked something on the floor. Okay. If you didn't recognise my face, you'd know this is my podcast from the fact that stuff is all over the floor and just everything goes to hell in a handbasket. I've cast on another sweater, another colourwork sweater. I'm aware that I already have a colourwork sweater on the needles, and by this same designer in fact, but I'm in an autumn mood, not a Christmas mood. And I'm hoping that by the time September and possibly October are done, I'll be back in a Christmas mood, because I've got 2 or 3 other sweaters that I would like to get made for this Christmas. So the pattern that I'm knitting is the full collection, or part of the full collection, by Bad Wolf Girl Designs. It's not the one that's on the front of the pattern. I can't really show you which one it is because there's no photograph of it, there's only the chart, and I can't show you the chart because it's a paid for pattern. So this is all a little bit tricky. But let me show you what I've got done so far. I'm going, Doris, there is a needle stopper, I'm taking it off. Just in case I get told off again. I have done, hang on, nothing, Doris, nothing to see here, don't worry about it. It wasn't a stitch, it was just a stitch marker. It's fine. Everything's fine. Nobody panic. I'm going to put it back on because I am starting to panic. Actually, I might lose the stitches. Let's another one. Sorry, talk amongst yourselves while I do stuff again. Okay. Fast forward to, ta-da! I've done this much. Ignore all that faffing about that there was just now. It's a bit lumpy bumpy because some of the yarn I've used is not DK weight. Let me try and get it to focus. This grey, this is Stylecraft DK, and you've seen it in a sweater before because I originally started knitting the Stephen West's Painting Honeycombs with it, and I didn't like the sweater and I pulled it out. So now I'm using it, let's remove that hair, I'm using it for this. So that's the main colour, is the grey. Then what looks like very, very intricate, although it doesn't look that much on camera, very complicated colour work here. That's mostly, you'll recognise this as well, from this ball. This was some leftovers from a shawl, a corner to corner crocheted shawl I made. It's Serdar jewel spun in something sunset something, can't remember. I had 100 grams left and I used some of it for the ribbing on the neck, cuffs and bottom of my autumn stripes sweater, which will no doubt be coming out of the wardrobe soon. And with what was left, I thought I'd stick it in this colour work. So mostly the colour work that I'm doing is from scraps. So in this section here, there's a lot of that jewel spun. You really can't see this very well. I might take a photograph and see if I can insert it for you. Mostly it's jewel spun. There are a couple of rows of the grey, and I'm also using from that same autumn stripes sweater. This is copper. I'd not put this one in yet, that's gingerbread. I should hold them over here really where you can see the colours. There's copper and gingerbread. There is some burgundy that's gone in already, and gold. So I'm using these scraps up, and also this ball, no, which I bought specifically in Home Bargains again. So they're so crafty, and this is 95988, but it's, you can see it's kind of a light mustard, dark golden colour. I'm not going to tell you what the pattern is specifically because it's going to be a surprise next week. You'll have to wait and see. I've used a little bit of that in it so far, and mostly scraps otherwise. So I will take a photograph so you can see it a bit better. That's what we've got so far. And I love it. I cannot wait to get it finished. I think I'm going to knit this quite quickly until I finish the colour work, and then I'll get slow. But what I might do actually is put short sleeves on it, and then it'll be a bit quicker. Not a lot quicker. Sleeves take me, I suppose, a day each. It'll be 2 days quicker to finish, because I think I'm going to put, it's not going to be cropped. I think it's going to be a decent length, because I'm going to want to wear it with jeans and stuff, and I don't want cropped. I like to hide the tummy region. So I'll take a photograph of that for you, and you've probably seen it already because I've already stuck it in, so that you can see a bit better the colour work. So that was my final new cast on so far. There will be more socks. I've got many October socks planned. I wound up this yarn as well. I don't know how well you can see the colour. Not very well. It doesn't really help bring it back here because you can't see all the little. That's better, I think. You can see the different colours in it. This is Toil and Trouble by My Yarny Corner, and this one, I've lost the ball band again. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Silly me. It's on their old label. Danny dyed this up for me before they changed to their new label that's got Stewie on. But it's Toil and Trouble, which was my favourite. Oh my gosh, why am I even saying it was my favourite? It was one of my favourites from them, because I've got a couple of other absolute favourites that are nestled in my treasure chest, otherwise known as my hand-dyed box of yarn. I want to knit something with this as well, and I'm in two minds about what. I've got another ball of Toil and Trouble, but this is high twist, the other one isn't. And I don't really want to mix them in the same thing. There's a cowl that I've been thinking about. It's called the Midsummer Haze cowl, and it's cowl round your neck, but then it's like having a scarf with tassels. I've had that to make for quite some time, ever since I saw Ellie from Craft House Magic do it. But I don't think I've got enough of one ball. So the other options are hat and gloves. But at this rate, I'm going to end up with, even Amanda mentioned the fact that I can't possibly wear that many fingerless mitts. Yeah, I don't know quite what I'm going to do with this, only that I am going to do something, because obviously, cover my face up, Toil and Trouble is witchy, isn't it? So that's October and Halloween. And last year I did the sock along, and I made a pair of socks with my original ball of Toil and Trouble. So it's traditional. I should really, thinking about it, if I used this ball this year and the other skein next year, that would be 3 traditional years of Toil and Trouble. I don't think Danny wrote down the recipe, so there won't be any more. That's how I ended up with this skein, actually, because I moaned and moaned and moaned and moaned about the fact that he'd not written down the recipe initially. So he went and tried to replicate it and made me this one. So, yes, we'll have to wait and see what that turns out to be, but it's almost certainly, well, it is certainly going to be something. So, yeah, these two are looking for a project. No, I can't put them together. It's just as well I can't put them together, otherwise there'd be another rocket tea on the way. You know there would. Because I have an obsession. So I think that's everything. Let me check my notes. I have notes again this week. Told you about the make along. Gonna put the hashtag on there. Yeah, so I'll see you possibly on Saturday afternoon, which is the, hold on, let me work this out. 3rd. Oh, that's easy. 3rd of September at 3 p.m. British Summer Time. I'll go live and we'll do the Ukraine make along draw. And yeah, other than that, I'll see you next week with probably some more stuff cast on. Maybe these gloves. I don't want to give up on them. I really, really want them. Yeah. So, having waffled on at you for nearly an hour, I'm a bit astounded I managed to waffle on for that long. And the reason I'm kind of prevaricating and not going is that I've got a feeling there's something I should have said to you and I haven't. I know what it is. Hold on. I'd been going to leave this as a surprise, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to. I have another couple of prizes that have arrived for the Ukraine make-along. I'm going to hold it like that so you can see. Now, I'm hoping that you can make that out. That is a mouse with a Ukraine heart. And these were made by the very clever and very, very patient Caroline of the Aria Bark podcast. She has made, this one is mine, she has made 2 of these to go into the prize draw, and I can't even begin to imagine A, how she can see to do it, B, where she finds the patience from, and C, why, having made 1, you would then go on ahead to make another 2 to give away as prizes. So I was going to keep it as a surprise because I think the only thing that we've got that's actually Ukraine orientated, but then I thought about it during the week and I thought so much work has gone into them. I don't know how to show them to you best. I don't know why. It's just not picking stuff up very well today. I think it might be because the sun's coming round and so it's adjusting the light and making it darker in here. So yeah, so there are 2 of these in the prize draw. It's going to take us a while on Saturday afternoon. Settle in with a cup of coffee. Okay then. That really is everything. I feel settled now. That was the thing that I'd forgotten. So I will see you Saturday afternoon, 3rd of September, 3 o'clock. And if I don't see you then, I will see you next Wednesday. Bye guys.